Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Walisha Wilson. I am the founder of NewLife-Second Chance Outreach Incorporated. I started this organization upon my release from prison myself. At New Life, we equip, empower, and restore Georgians who have been impacted with a criminal conviction to employment and community resources that will support them in their reentry. Our services are free. And again, we are only for those impacted by a criminal record. Today's event is co-sponsored in partnership with the Metro Atlanta Reentry Coalition and Living On Purpose ATL, along with other Georgia organizations who are presenting today. We have a great lineup of statewide and local service providers with opportunities that we are sure you will find beneficial, especially to individuals who have been impacted by a criminal conviction. Tammy.
Sorry. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tammy Boyd, and I'm kind of wearing two hats today. I'm with the Atlanta Community Food Bank, and I'm also the Executive Director of Living On Purpose ATL. So I just want to cover logistics quickly. For the first hour or so, we're all going to stay in the main tent session, and you'll hear from organizations that are statewide providers. And then what we'll do is we will put you all into breakout rooms based on location. So we'll have 4 rooms: the Columbus, Macon, Columbus, LaGrange, and Macon room. We have the Metro Atlanta room, the room, and Savannah. And so please, if you're just joining us, please put your name and your location or your city in the chat so we know which room to assign you. After the breakout sessions, we'll come back to the main tent session. We'll reconvene there for Q&A. If you're in need of spiritual counseling or prayer, we will have those breakout rooms available as well. Just let us know by putting it in the chat. And then please remember to keep yourselves muted unless you're speaking, and feel free to utilize the chat if you have questions or concerns. Thank you.
All righty, and before I introduce the presenters, I wanted to let you all know about the services that we provide at New Life. We provide job readiness workshops on all things to help you seek and maintain employment, such as applications, interviews, mock interviews, how to dress for success, social media presence, email 101, entrepreneurship workshops. We do vision boarding workshops, and we even have a resume workshop that is specifically catered to individuals who've never had legal employment, i.e. drug dealers. So we do a lot of great work to help folks. But due to COVID, all of our services are virtual. And once we establish an office space here in Atlanta, because we have recently relocated to the Atlanta area, we'll start phasing in more in-person workshops. We also host community education forums such as this with our partners to provide information on such things that impact those with criminal records, such as we've done voter education about informing individuals who have been impacted by a Georgia conviction that they may still have the right to vote while they're in Georgia. We do stuff on like ending cash bail. We do other record restrictions with our partners at Georgia Justice Project and any other issues that impact those with criminal convictions. Hopefully in the next 2 years, we'll be hoping to start 3 housing programs, one in Atlanta, one in Columbus, and one is either in South or Middle Georgia, as well as start assisting individuals with paying off their fines and fees, helping them get their IDs, as well as the vital records that they need to get identification. But we can't do that without the community's help. We are 100% ran by volunteers. None of us, myself or the board of directors, receive any type of compensation. And so that is what we need. So I wanted to just be able to just give you some information on us and what we do. Primarily, most of you who have interacted with us are either through our weekly email blast that we send out of background felon friendly resources, whether it's jobs, housing, or anything like that. I will be dropping that information in the chat as well, that if you are impacted by a criminal record or you work with individuals who are, I will give you that information so you can request to be on that email blast list. Unfortunately, because we don't have the capacity to do it, we get a lot of responses of saying, here's my resume. We can't do individual advocacy where we're trying to connect one individual person or remembering who to send a resume for what. Some people will say, well, I don't need a job, I just need housing. We can't do individual stuff. So we only send out email blasts as they come in. We don't actually go out looking for jobs. We don't go out looking for these things. These are employers calling us. They know who the type of people we work with. So we will get employers that call us and say, I have 10 positions. I'm willing to give them to these folks. Or I'm a landlord. I have a house available. I'm willing to rent to someone with a record, even if they're on the sex offender registry. So when we get this information, we share it with those who want it. And so I'll make sure I drop that information in the chat. And while I'm doing that, we'll go ahead and proceed with the first presenter that we will be having. Our first presenter is Lenare. Pronounce your name again.
Lene Ari.
Lene Ari Wilder of Happy Mother, Happy Babies. Welcome, Lene Ari. Thank you so much for joining us. We're ready to hear about your services.
Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen. And so thank you so much for having me. Again, I'm from Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies Coalition of Georgia. We are one of the strongest statewide voices for improved health access to improved access to healthcare and health outcomes for moms and babies in the state of Georgia. We focus on the full spectrum of maternal and child health concerns, and that's from prematurity to maternal mortality. We really emphasize or focus on advocacy, education, and support and access to vital resources. We offer some evidence-based online prenatal, postpartum, breastfeeding, and baby care classes, as well as mom support groups for any pregnant or postpartum birth giver who may be struggling emotionally or mentally. All of our mom support groups are led by moms themselves who have been trained in facilitation. They've also experienced their own maternal, emotional, or mental health difficulties, so they have that lived experience. And then on our parent-focused resource site, which is called Pickles and Ice Cream, you'll find the registration for the classes and registration for support groups, as well as educational information like blog articles, videos, quizzes, information on navigating pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, and postpartum period. And this website is not just for moms, it's for dads and partners as well to increase their education. You can totally sign up for a class if you like and gain that information. Our hope for Pickles and Ice Cream is that it'll be able to provide parents with all the information that they crave. We also serve as a resource and referral agency. So if you're looking for a specific kind of resource in your community and you're really just not sure where to start, you can always call the Georgia Family Health Line or Help Me Grow Georgia, and one of our specialists will assist you. If you're looking for like a medical provider or a behavioral health service provider, and they accept different forms of Medicaid, or they have low cost or sliding scale rates that might be based on your income, and they might even have a free service for you. You can always call and speak with one of our specialists to figure out what you're looking for and how we can connect you. It really depends on what you might need, on what the baby might need, or what the child might need, or what a family member might need. And so for the Georgia Family Health Line or for Help Me Grow Georgia, those are not mom and baby specific services as some of the other services we provide. Those are for the total family, for anyone across the state looking for a specific kind of resource. And then if you're pretty tech savvy or you prefer to do your own kind of search, you can also use our user-friendly side of our larger database. You can kind of do your own search to pull up resources, and our number is still on that webpage, just in case you are confused about anything, you have some questions, you want more information, you can still give us a call. This particular graphic that I'm on right now is a 2-page graphic. All of the white boxes are clickable, so if you need help navigating anything, if the website is confusing, which the link is on the webpage as well, you can click on the box or prenatal education and go straight to the website for the mom support groups, and for the resources and referrals, you can click that box and go straight to our database portal. You'll also find on the second page both of the numbers to give us a call in our call center, the website for pickles and ice cream, and the phone number for our peer support line. And so if you get to the website and you want to know more about our maternal mental health support groups or our mom support groups, you can either look on the website or you can give us a call and have someone register you right there on the spot, or ask questions or get some more information about some maternal mental health resources that may be in your community. And then lastly, a new thing that we're kind of doing is perinatal care packages. And so if you want more information on that, you can definitely email us at the coalition at hmhbga.org. Or if you click that, it'll email me directly, since I am piloting or coordinating that pilot project. It's really just giving moms a care package that has some things specific for moms and specific for the new baby that might be helpful.
Well, thank you so much for that very informative information. Right now we have, were there any particular questions that anyone has for Ms. Wilder? You can put it in the chat. We can take 1 to 2 questions. If you have a question that you'd like to address to her, if not, we'll move on. All righty. I wanted to ask you one question on behalf of someone. Do you all assist with, and you may have already said it, do you assist with daycare assistance?
So our particular agency doesn't have daycare assistance, but what we do have is information for daycares. So there are a couple of resources, one in particular I can think off the top of my head called Quality Care. I think it's called Quality Care for Children, something like that. And they have all the information for daycares in different areas. But that is something that someone can call our resource and referral line to get more information about what daycares might be open in their area or other resources to find that.
Okay. Well, thank you so very, very much. And right now we will move on to our next presenter, which is Happye Dyer of the Community Health Insurance Program. Welcome, Happye.
Hello, thank you, Walisha, for inviting me to speak, and thank you. I too am a returning citizen, so this is something that I'm very passionate about. Can you all hear me? Yes? Okay. I know what it's like to not feel hope and feel helpless, so I'm all about resources. And I always tell people that call me, I'm like, listen, I've been there. I had to make some changes. I knew I was either going to live. I wasn't going to live. I was either going to be dead or locked up for a long time. And I had to make some decisions. And it took a while, but thanks to the grace of God, I had to make some changes, and I did. And luckily I was given a chance. I've been here for 8 years now, and we have a program that helps returning citizens get signed up for health coverage. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I hope this works. Can y'all see that?
Yes, we see it.
Okay. So what we do is we work with returning citizens. We go through healthcare.gov, and in the past, one would have 60 days post-release in which they would qualify to get signed up for health coverage. Well, now, thanks to President Biden, he signed the American Rescue Plan as well as the COVID-19 emergency plan. And anyone can get in right now, regardless of their release date. So it has been extended to August 15th. So all one has to do is call us. You don't have to have your ID, because I know a lot of people still don't have their IDs. It takes forever to get all of that once they get released. All you need is a phone. You call us, and everyone on our team is very passionate about helping the underserved community. And, when people are released, if they have medical issues, a lot of times they're only given 10 days worth of meds. And then it's just a scramble to find help, because Georgia did not expand Medicaid, so there's no option, and these people fall from the cracks. I can't tell you how many times I've spoke to individuals that have issues like diabetes or mental health, and they say, Miss Happye, I decided to just reoffend just so I could have access to my health care. And that's crazy. That's something that's a wall we have to break down. We can't have that. Everybody needs that health coverage, and they need to have access to care, and they deserve it. And they've done their time. They need to hold their head up high, and they're still here for a reason. And I tell them, I made it through, and you can too. Who knows what tomorrow brings? You can be helping people like me, you know? So back to this. Okay, it says low to no cost health insurance. Well, now because of the American Rescue Plan, anyone who makes less than 150% FPL, which is federal poverty level, which is $19,320, they qualify to get enrolled in a silver plan, which is the best that they have on the marketplace at no cost. And it's very easy. The whole application process takes about 10 minutes, maybe a little more if they have a number of meds that they take. So we got to make sure that those meds are covered. But all of the plans include behavioral health, substance abuse, mental health. There's no fees whatsoever for our services, no cost for our services. We're here afterwards to help if they need help finding a doctor. We're here for anything. Even I tell them, look, even if you just need a pep talk, you call us. And, you know, if they're going on a job interview or something, say, call me, you know, we got this, you got this. So there's our number. Of course, we work mainly with returning citizens, but since this enrollment period has been extended, we're here to help their family members as well who might need coverage, or friends. But the process is very easy. So if anybody makes $19,200 or less, they qualify for no cost silver plan. It's okay if they're not working right now, because most aren't, but either because they just got released or because this whole COVID situation. It's okay. We get them in while they qualify, and then we'll figure out the income later on as they go. We give them a chance to get on their feet. And I'm very happy to be, no pun intended, my name's Happye. I'm very happy to be a part of this program, and I feel very blessed and fortunate to be able to get people access to the healthcare that they need and any kind of resources. I'm all about resources. So I like to share any kind of things that I find on housing, employment, any kind of resource that I can find. I love to be able to share that with people and give them hope. And I think that this is an important part of rebuilding their lives, getting back on their feet, at least in terms of their health. So I'm very, very passionate about it. And I am just so thankful that you all included me in this presentation.
Thank you so much, Happye. Does any, and I didn't know you were a returning citizen, so now I like you even more.
Yes.
So we definitely will have to connect.
I know.
Did anybody have any questions for Happye?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What's the name of our organization again?
It's called the CHI program. CHI program, it stands for Community Health Insurance Program.
Okay. Community Health Insurance Program.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. God bless you.
God bless you.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, so I've got to get off of this screen. So
I got one question.
okay.
Does it cover dental insurance?
It doesn't have dental. It's for health, but what we normally do is I'll look up all of the places in the area wherever you are and find they have places that are on sliding scale fee based on your income. So if you don't have income, or if you have a low income, then they can get you in. So I look up all of those places that are closest to you, and I tell people to call every single one of them and see who can get you in first. because they have tons of places that are available that do offer dental. And because with the dental insurance, there's most of the time a waiting period where you got to wait for a year till they'll cover anything major. And people that need dental insurance, they need dental covered, dental services, they need stuff now. They don't want to wait for a year. And plus with the dental insurance, you got to pay every month, and all you get is that free cleaning on that, for that first year. So what I typically do is look up all of the places in the area that's on the sliding scale fee, and I tell people to call every single one of them and get in with the one that'll take you in the soonest. I hope that helps.
One quick question.
Thank you.
One quick question, and thank you for what you do. Is this a statewide program or just in Atlanta?
Yes,
area?
sir. Yes, sir. It's statewide.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Okay, so let me get back so I can get off of the screen. There's our number if y'all want to write that down, and then stop share. Okay, good, because that didn't work last time during the rehearsal. Okay, Miss Alicia. All right, so we did it, Miss. Okay, so thank you all so much for everything, and bravo.
I got a fit of the cost over here. Thank you so much, Happy, for that. And if I didn't have insurance, I definitely would do it. I think it's a great program. And all of this information for you all on the line, you do not need to worry about anything. If you put your email in the chat, as well as you've registered, we will send out post-event resources, everything that's being dropped in the chat. As far as also once any presenters want to give their presentations, anything like that, it's not going to be today, but it'll be hopefully by the end of tomorrow or the next day. But you will get all this stuff in the information in email to you, so you don't have to worry about taking frantic notes like I do. Thank you so much again. Happy. Is Jamila Harleston here? I don't think Jamila made it, right? Okay. So Jamila's not here. We will go ahead. Hold on. Let me see if she showed.
Walisha, hold on one second. I think she sent me a text. Hold on. She had an emergency, so she will not be attending.
So we're going to go ahead and go on now with our next presenter, which is Nancy Devetter. Although Nancy helps people across the state, she later on will also be in the Savannah room, so she can talk more in depth about the services that she does provide. She does do record restriction. She does anything with helping you correct your criminal record, but she also does a lot of great work with helping individuals get off the sex offender registry and that kind of information. And she's going to talk more in depth about that. But she will be later on in the Savannah room. So even though she helps people throughout the state, if you would like to be able to speak further or find out more about her more services in detail, Nancy will be in the Savannah room during breakouts. Okay, so go ahead, Nancy, and you're up.
I got a question before you start, if you don't mind.
Okay, now is this for Ms. Devetters? Because right now we're not taking any questions. Is this okay? Yeah, she's gonna do her presentation, and then we're gonna take 1 or 2 questions. What's your name, Raekwon? We'll make sure that you are the first person to ask a question.
Thank
you. All right.
Okay. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you for having me today. And today we are going to talk about information for sex offenders. Georgia Justice Project is going to cover a lot of the information for the new record restriction law, which is very exciting and has opened up opportunities for a lot of people. And I'm going to let them talk about that. And I'm going to focus on information for sex offenders because that's an area that they generally do not cover. So my name is Nancy Devetter. I'm a lawyer who has a practice based in Savannah, Georgia. I've been clearing criminal records and helping people address their criminal records for over 7 years. I used to work at Georgia Legal Services as a nonprofit, and now have my own practice where I do this work. My goal is to make sure people know what their legal rights are. There's a lot of confusion about what people are eligible for. And again, the law just changed in a major way. So if you have questions about your criminal record, feel free to give me a call and I'll have my contact information. It's in the chat and I'll also have it on the final slide. So sex offenders in Georgia, these are the stats. We have about 23,000 people in Georgia on the sex offender registry. There are 25 different offenses that can put you on the sex offender registry, from lewd behavior to indecent exposure. There's all sorts of qualifying offenses. And what's important for your rights is what your level is, but the vast majority of people on the registry are not leveled. And we're going to talk about leveling again in a minute. So if you are on the sex offender, you are certainly familiar with the registry limitations. So you generally cannot live or work close to areas with children. And the law can be very broad here. The law that passed most recently would include things like bus stops, but as far as I know, that is not being enforced right now. But areas like swimming pools, which would include community swimming pools, neighborhood swimming pools, local gyms, the limitations are pretty severe for people that are on the sex offender registry. You're also limited on even where you can volunteer, so that you can't volunteer in areas where minors might be. The good thing is that if you are already own a home or are working somewhere and a childcare facility or one of these areas moves close to you, then you are able to stay where you are, which is helpful. But again, these are extremely broad limitations that affect thousands of people in Georgia. I think most people would agree that they're overbroad and that we need some significant legislative advocacy here to change the law. There was some advocacy recently that did allow people to be removed from the registry, and that's what we're going to talk about soon. So if you, depending on when your offense happened, the restrictions are different. If you were sentenced before June 4th of 2013, these rules won't apply to you. And then it's tiered up. So if it's between 2013 and 2003 and 2006, there's limitations on your residence, but not on your place of employment. And then it kind of tiers up until in 2008, if the offense occurred after then you do have restrictions on your place of residence, the place you work, and where you can volunteer. So leveling is there's a board in Georgia that tells people if they are considered a sexually dangerous predator or what kind of level their sex offense was. Again, most people have still not been leveled in Georgia. And so these are the people that do get leveled. If you were convicted on or after July 1st of 2006, you will be leveled. If you were in jail in 2006, you will also get leveled. If you move here, you can be leveled. And if you request to be leveled, for example, in the procedure of requesting to be removed from the registry, you can ask to be leveled. So here are the main ways that you can get off the registry. There's 4 paths. You can get off the registry is if you have completed your sentence and you have some sort of disability, so that you are considered disabled if you're in a nursing home, if you are not able to return to work. That is one path. The second path is for a crime that is now considered a misdemeanor under Georgia law. So this will not apply to very many people. This is essentially for Romeo and Juliet relationships where someone was young and had an underage partner and ended up having usually a consensual sexual relationship. It is still on the registry. So those, if the age difference is within the within the legal limitations, then you can be removed from the registry in this situation. I have had clients that have had that, and we've been able to remove them from the registry. And we're going to talk about bad factors in a minute. I have a client right now who is on the sex offender registry because he, after a robbery, put someone who was 15 in his car and drove away. So he was convicted of kidnapping a minor, and that's why he's on the sex offender registry. So we are currently, even though he is still on paper, we are petitioning to remove him from the registry. Simply, he didn't commit a sex offense, but under prior Georgia law, if you were convicted of kidnapping or false imprisonment of a minor, you would have been put on the sex offender registry. So people that are in that situation can now be removed from the registry. The most common petition that we're going to see is people that have completed their sentence and are either a level 1 or have been off paper for 10 years. There are also some limitations on that. And so we're going to talk about these in more detail next. So removal based on disability. So these are people that are in a hospice facility, in a nursing home, residential care facility, if they're totally and permanently disabled or seriously physically incapacitated. So if you are not able to work and won't be returning to work, then the law says it kind of doesn't make sense for you to have the same employment limitations and living limitations that the law previously put you under. You do have to be off paper, but you can, I've only done this for people that are actually in nursing homes, but I believe that you'd be able to do this if you're receiving Social Security disability. All right, these are the removal for Romeo and Juliet cases. So this is for someone who was sentenced for a crime that became punishable as a misdemeanor after July of 2006. So I just listed 2 of the specific situations, but you'd have to look at specifically your crime to see if it qualifies. So if you're convicted of sodomy, and the victim was 16, was between 13 and 16, and then you were under 18, but no more than 4 years older than the victim, then that crime is now a misdemeanor, and you can petition to be removed from the registry on that basis. Same with statutory rape. If you have the same age limitations that qualify, then you can be removed from the registry. Here's a list of the bad factors. You can't have other sex offenses in order to qualify for this. You can't have used a weapon or any sort of object. You couldn't have transported the victim. And of course, no intentional physical harm or physical restraint. So those are factual circumstances that you have to show when you are asking to be removed from the registry, that you don't have these aggravating factors. So we just talked a little bit about the kidnapping and false imprisonment situation. So as long as there was no sex offense committed in this situation, then you are eligible to be removed from the registry on this basis. And you, like I said, you can still be on probation for it and ask to be removed. The waiting period and low risk factors are again going to be the most common option for people. So this is either 10 years have passed since completion of your sentence, or you're a level 1. When I've done these petitions, even if it's been 10 years, the prosecutor has usually asked for leveling. And we can normally get an order from the court for the client to go through leveling so that we can show that they are both 10 years and level 1, if that's what the prosecutor wants in order to consent. Again, we have the bad factors that come up here. You can't have another sex offense conviction. There can't be any weapon used, no transportation of the victim, no intentional physical harm, and no physical restraint could be in the facts that in this case in order to qualify for this remedy to be removed from the registry. You can also get a pardon as a sex offender. You could use a regular pardon process until 2018. You might have heard of this case where someone a sex offender was granted a pardon, and then they moved from out of Chatham County into North Carolina and didn't tell Chatham County that they were moving. And Chatham County got mad and filed a failure to register felony against them. And the court, and the case went up on appeal, and the court found that because this client had been pardoned, that they didn't have to register anymore. So the pardon board responded with a very much stricter pardon requirements for people that have sex offenses. It went from 5 years to 10 years of a waiting period where you have to have completed your sentence and you have to have no issues for 10 years. No pending charges, you have to pay restitution, you have to submit to a psychosexual, to a polygraph, and you have to submit your leveling. So this is a strict procedure, and I don't believe the pardon board has approved any and not many of these, but that is an option. You know, a pardon gives you official forgiveness under Georgia law, and based on the Supreme Court ruling, you would also be removed from the registry. I mean, from the registration requirements. So that's why it's a lot more difficult now. Again, important thing about a pardon is that under the new record restriction law, certain charges are now eligible for expungement if you get them pardoned, including felonies. So there are charges, if you do get them pardoned, even if they're sex offenses, then you'd be able to expunge them. Most sex offenses, I believe, are not listed there, but we could think of situations where that might apply. So again, this is all a case-by-case basis. If you have a sex offense and you want to figure out if you are eligible, I encourage you to talk to an attorney to figure out the exact details of your case. When I look into a case, I pull the entire court record, review all the facts, look at the evidence that was used in the indictment, the transcripts. I look at, we request leveling, we look at the person's GCIC, so it's a pretty intensive fact-based review. But this is the procedure. You file a petition in the Superior Court of the conviction. You serve the necessary parties, including the DA and the sheriff where you are living, if you're living in a different area. You can ask for leveling in this procedure if you think you're going to be determined to be a level 1. And then you go to the DA and see if they will agree, or you ask for a hearing. In order to get the registry removal approved, the judge has to find that there's no danger of future sexual offenses. Okay, so my time was limited, so I really just jumped right through the basic procedures. So I know there was a gentleman that had a question. So please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, we have about 15 minutes for questions, 10 to 15 minutes for questions.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. It's too fast.
It was just that you work with people all throughout Atlanta, right?
That's right. I do statewide services. I'm based in Savannah, however.
All right, that was basically because I had a few things I was trying to get off my record. I did first offender. I had got out probation early. That should be still, but I'm still not sure though. But I know I got a couple more things I want to get off my record.
Yeah, even if your GCIC says that your first offender act is sealed, that's essentially their internal sealing indication. So for most counties in Georgia, it is necessary to file a motion to seal after your first offender, just to make sure that those records are no longer in the public record. So for most first offender cases that I see in Atlanta, you do have to file a separate motion to seal, but those are usually agreed to by the district attorney and can be done pretty quickly.
All right, thank you. I will contact you after this meeting.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you.
And
Yes,
she will
ma'am.
also be, when we go to breakout rooms, later around 11:25, Nancy will also be in.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if y'all heard me, I cut out, but when we go to breakout sessions around 11:25, Nancy will be in the Savannah room. So if that's something that you want, I know you can only go in one room at a time. So if you're in the Atlanta area, you just prefer to go to the Metro Atlanta room, Nancy's information will be available. And like I said, will be in the follow-up email resources. But if you want to be able to speak more in particular with her, you can go to the Savannah room.
That's her information right there, right?
Yes.
I understand most people don't want to talk about their situations publicly. So that's why I have my phone number and email address. If you want to reach out to me, I do free phone consultations just to talk through so that you can, we can ballpark what your options are.
Okay. If anybody else has a question, just raise your hand.
Yeah.
Okay. Robert.
A quick question, ma'am, about expungement. Recently moved here to the Atlanta area. My research is said that after 4 years of a misdemeanor, you can apply for expungement, and after 5 years of a felony, you can apply for expungement. Is that correct?
So that's correct for misdemeanors. It has to be 4 years from your last conviction, and then you can apply to get a misdemeanor conviction expunged. Non-convictions can be expunged at any time. The rule for the felony is actually that it's 5 years before you can ask for a pardon, and you have to go through the pardon process in order to expunge the felony. So for felonies, it's a two-step process where you go through the pardon. You have to get a pardon, and the pardon requires a 5-year waiting period from the end of your last sentence.
Are you aware of any programs that's free? They have clean slate program in San Francisco. Are you aware through the public defender's office? Are you aware of any organizations that does expungement for free in the state of Georgia?
Well, Georgia Justice Project is going to present next, and they are the top program that does that in Georgia. And they also partner with, I think, with a lot of other organizations and lawyers and the courts to do clean slate programs. So I'm sure that they'll be able to talk about that. In my area, Georgia Legal Services here, where I was, also provides that services for low-income people.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, and salute to you for what you do, ma'am. Keep doing what you do. Looking forward to working with you soon.
All right, thank you.
Were there any other questions for Nancy? All righty. I wanted to take a minute also to remind you, for those who are coming into the room, please put your name and your location where you're at. We're going to do our best to make sure that we put you in the correct breakout rooms. We do have 4 breakout room areas that are going to go on around 11:25. We have the Metro Atlanta area room, where those local presenters will be in each breakout room according to your area. We have the Rome, Georgia area. We'll have 2 presenters in there. We'll have the Columbus, LaGrange, and Macon room. And then we'll have the Savannah room. And right before we go to our next presenters, I wanted to do a quick poll just to assess who all is in the room. So I'm launching the poll now, and you all should be able to see the poll. Just want to know where you're joining us. And if you're not in that area, just put the one that you're closest to. And we also do know that for those of you who are on the call from Alabama, we also do have employers and very few resources that we do get from the Alabama area, particularly Birmingham, Coleman, Alabama, Montgomery, and Huntsville. So you all also, if you're directly impacted, are eligible to email us and ask us to be added to a list, and we can add you to our Alabama list as well. So we're going to get ready and close the poll. Looks like most people in this room are from Metro Atlanta. We have several from Columbus, and we have a few from North. So we don't have too many folks from Savannah, but that's still fine, and that's good.
Walisha?
Uh-huh.
This is Happye. I just wanted to, I heard you mention Atlanta. We also help individuals in the Atlanta area, South Carolina, North Carolina, any state that has not expanded Medicaid.
Okay, that's great. Okay. All righty. And I wanted to, one more before we get ready. I wanted to launch the second poll, and you all should be seeing it now. Have you been impacted by an arrest or a conviction, or if you just on the line because you have someone who is currently impacted? Because we want to make sure, like I said, all the services that we give are for individuals who are directly impacted. But we do know that there are folks who are advocates and supporters, as well as family and loved ones. And just to get a sense of knowing who's on the call and who joined us today. All righty, so it looks like it's pretty much across the board. Almost half are directly impacted, some no, and some has a family or loved one who has. All right, we're going to end the poll now. Okay. All righty, so if we'll have any other questions for Nancy, we'll go ahead and go to our next presenters, which are Emmy and Elizabeth from Georgia Justice Project, and they're going to give us more great legal information regarding the some of the issues that probably some legislation passes. And the Georgia Justice Project has been working on some awesome, great stuff. So we're going to let Emmy and Elizabeth tell you about those and the services that they provide. And although they do work mostly throughout Georgia, most of the capacity that they have is in the metro Atlanta area, but they do work and they do go throughout the state doing their expungement clinics and things like that. And so everyone can take benefit from GJP's information as well. All righty, Elizabeth and Emmy.
Thanks, Walisha. Hi, everyone. It's great to be with you today. Let me share my screen. Are you sharing? Looking good? Awesome. So my name is Emmy Williams, and I'm here with Elizabeth Rainwater, and we are from Georgia Justice Project. And we're excited to talk with you today about some new laws that have been passed in Georgia that can benefit you or your loved ones who have criminal records. So let's get started. Yeah. Okay, there we go. So just a quick introduction of Georgia Justice Project. We have three main goals that we're trying to fulfill. The first is we serve people with criminal defense issues. So if you are facing pending charges, we may be able to help you defend yourself in your case. And we try to provide holistic defense, so that includes social services and kind of wraparound support for people who are facing criminal charges. And then the second goal that we have is to help those who are reentering with legal services. So the main thing that we do in that area is helping people expunge their criminal records. And we do that statewide, like Walisha mentioned. And we're working on a number of issues that are related to criminal records, including employment and housing and child support. And we've just started representing people on occupational licensing issues as well, if they have criminal records. And then the final big umbrella that we work under is policy change. So Georgia Justice Project is always trying to make the law better for folks who have been impacted by the criminal justice system. And we are lobbying in the legislature to get things passed. And we've had some big wins recently, which is what we're here to talk with you about and explain how you might be able to benefit from the new laws that are in place. And I think Nancy mentioned this, but all the services that Georgia Justice Project provides are free for people who are eligible. So today we wanted to tell you about some recent reforms to the law in Georgia that could be beneficial for people with criminal records. So there's three main developments that we want to talk to you about. The first is new developments in expungement law. So laws that have been passed that will help you get more things off of your record. And the second thing we want to talk to you about is changes to the law on probation, and specifically getting off probation early. So there's been an expansion in the law of who can get off probation early, and Elizabeth will talk with you about that. And then finally, there's been some new laws about occupational licensing and getting a license to work with a criminal record. So we'll tell you about some of the new laws there and how you might benefit. So let's talk expungement first. So I think Nancy covered a lot of this terminology. Thank you, Nancy. But just to recap, in case it's necessary, let's talk about the terms that we'll be using throughout our expungement section. So expungement is what a lot of states call getting things off of your record, clearing your record, whether that be convictions or charges or arrests. Georgia has to be special, and we call it restriction and sealing. So it's a two-step process to get things off of your public criminal record. And restriction is the first part of the process. And that just means making your GCIC record private. So the the GCIC record that you can pull if you go to a law enforcement agency. You can make it so that convictions, arrests, and charges aren't visible to the public on that record anymore. And then the second part of the process is called sealing. And that limits access to all the other records that might be out there of arrests, charges, and convictions, specifically in court records. So if I were charged and brought into court, there'd be a record of my hearing. Sealing is the process by which I can make the court basically destroy those records from the public view. And sealing is helpful for getting things off of your private background check. So if you've limited access to the court records, a private background check company will not be able to report your conviction, charge, or arrest anymore. And then the next terminology that's important is the pardon. So Nancy talked about this as well. A pardon is the process by which you get an official order of forgiveness from the state. So you apply to the State Board of Pardons and Paroles and submit lots of personal information and show why you deserve to be pardoned and officially forgiven. And the state can grant you that pardon. And this usually applies to felony offenses, but sometimes it can apply to misdemeanors as well. And then finally, first offender is an important term to know. So first offender, I'm sure many of you have heard of this before. It's basically a way that you can not get a conviction, even if you've been arrested and charged. You can qualify for first offender if you've never used it in Georgia or in another state. And if you complete your sentence, which is usually a term of probation, you don't have a conviction on your record, even though you might have otherwise. So the first law that I want everyone here to know about is SB 288. And this law was so important because it expanded access to restriction and sealing for misdemeanors and for pardon felonies. So this really kind of blew the doors open in terms of what you can get off of your record. So SB 288, it passed last year. It's in effect now, so you can benefit from this law now. And what it allows you to do is, if you have had no convictions in the 4 years, in the past 4 years, you can apply to a court, you can file a petition, and you can say, I have a misdemeanor on my record, a misdemeanor conviction, but I don't deserve to have it on my record anymore. It's causing me these problems. And the judge can decide to allow you to restrict and seal that misdemeanor conviction from your record. The eligibility is a little bit narrow, but still broad enough to help a lot of people, I think. You can't have any pending charges. Like I said, you have to have a clear record for the 4 years before you apply. You do have to fall, your misdemeanor conviction has to be one for an eligible offense, and I'll talk about that on the next slide. There are some offenses that you can't use SB 288 for to get things off of your record. And then finally, there's a lifetime limit of 2 misdemeanor convictions. So you can only use SB 288 for 2 misdemeanor convictions total. But for those of you who have misdemeanors, particularly ones that are giving you trouble with employment or housing, this could be a good remedy. So SB 288 applies to all misdemeanor offenses except for the ones listed on this slide. So take a good look. The first big category of exclusions that you would not be able to get misdemeanor convictions off your record are for family violence misdemeanor convictions. So for family violence, simple assault, simple battery, those types of things, you cannot use SB 288 to get those convictions off your record unless you were a youthful offender at the time. So that means under 21 years old. And then secondly, there's some misdemeanor convictions that are excluded from the law for everyone. So it's a long list. I won't read through all of it here, but one of the most notable is DUI. You cannot use SB 288 for DUI, and you also can't use it for most theft offenses. And then the second possibility that SB 288 has is that you can restrict and seal felony convictions that have been pardoned. So I mentioned the pardon process before. If you apply to the State Board of Pardons and Paroles and you get a pardon, you will probably be able to restrict and seal that pardoned felony from your record using SB 288. There are some exceptions for this law as well. Unfortunately, serious violent felonies and some sex crimes are excluded. So even if you get a pardon for one of those convictions, you won't be able to use SB 288. But all other pardoned felonies, you can get off of your record using SB 288. And in terms of a pardon, you can apply for that 5 years after you're finished with your sentence. So you can't have anything in the past 5 years, any new convictions. But if you've been off paper for 5 years, you can apply for a pardon and then eventually benefit from SB 288 to get that felony off of your record. And then the second big law that's been passed recently in terms of expungement is SB 435. So SB 435 has to do with survivors of sex or labor trafficking. So it applies if that describes you and your criminal record is related to your experience as a survivor of sex or labor trafficking, then you might be able to get your record cleared using this law. So the requirement is that your conviction has to be a direct result of being the victim of sex or labor trafficking. But it may also apply to convictions that happened while you were being trafficked. And to be eligible to benefit from this law, you can't have any outstanding warrants, and 6 months have to go by since your sentence was imposed. So probably since you were convicted. And the process is similar to SB 288 in that you file a petition with the court, and then if the prosecutor agrees, you can get those things off of your record. And if not, there will be a hearing and the judge will decide whether or not you can get those things off of your record. And the great thing about SB 435 is there are no exceptions. So you can use it for any offense. So if that sounds like something that you have been through and your criminal record is related to that, SB 435 could help. So to do a quick sum up of after these recent laws and reforms, what is the state of criminal record expungement in Georgia today? So if you have a felony conviction, you could get your record cleared using retroactive first offender, or you could restrict and seal the felony if you get a pardon, or you could benefit from the Survivor's First Act, SB 435. If you have a misdemeanor conviction, you could also use retroactive first offender. You can restrict and seal up to 2 misdemeanor convictions using SB 288. Or if that misdemeanor is connected to being a survivor of sex or human trafficking, then you can use the Survivor's First Act to get that off your record. And if you were granted first offender in a case, you can discharge and seal your record. And Nancy referred to this process. That means that the court records of your first offender case will be made private. They won't be visible to the public anymore. They won't show up on a background check anymore. And then if you have pending charges, as like a dead docket, for example, that's been pending for many years and the prosecutor is not going to take any action, you can apply to dismiss that charge and you can restrict and seal to get that off your record. And then finally, for non-convictions, like a dismissed charge or an acquitted charge, you can restrict and seal those as well. So that's a quick and dirty summary of all the options that are available to you today in Georgia to get convictions or charges off of your record. And now I will turn it over to Elizabeth for a summary of probation and the new developments there.
Thanks, Emmy. Good morning, everyone. Like Emmy said, my name is Elizabeth Rainwater, and I'm an attorney with the Georgia Justice Project. And I want to talk to y'all a little bit about probation and some of the exciting changes that we expect to be happening in this legislative session. So before I get into the specifics of SB 105, which is the new law that we anticipate will be passed, I want to talk to y'all about the background of Georgia's probation problem. So I'm going to show you guys a chart. And this chart is put on by the Prison Policy Initiative. They're a great organization that does criminal justice research. I want you to focus on the top bar. So that top bar represents Georgia. And this chart shows the rate of individuals under correctional control. That includes people who are in jail, in prison, on parole, and on probation. And as you can see, Georgia clearly has the highest rate of individuals under correctional control, specifically when it comes to probation. So right now, 1 in 18 Georgians are on probation. The average probation sentence in Georgia is nearly 3 times longer than the national average. And in fact, 40% of people who are serving a probation sentence are serving one that exceeds 10 years. Georgia has roughly 190,000 people serving felony probation sentences right now. And unfortunately, while this information will probably not shock any of us, I want to direct y'all to another chart to talk about the disparate impact that Georgia's probation system has on people of color, specifically Black people. So even though Black people make up 1/3 of Georgia's population, 50% of Georgia's probation population are Black people. And when I did research in every county in Georgia, unfortunately, but again, not surprisingly, we see that if you're a Black person, you are at a minimum 2 times more likely to be supervised on probation. And that's at a minimum. Certain counties, such as Fulton, for example, you're 8 times more likely to be supervised. So that's just kind of an overview of some of the issues of Georgia's probation problem. But I want to talk to y'all about some good news. So let's talk SB 105. So in this latest legislative session, GJP helped sponsor and pass SB 105, which is a probation reform bill that we expect to be passed, come into law May 10th and become effective July 1st of this year. So SB 105 basically creates efficient pathways to help people serving lengthy felony probation sentences to pursue early termination of those sentences. What it does is it provides clear criteria to allow people to pursue termination of their sentences by allowing DCS, which that's Department of Community Supervision. They oversee parole and probation in Georgia, felony probation. It allows them to provide termination orders to the court. And that way it kind of creates just a streamlined process to make what's already been technically allowed by law more systematic and more efficient. This bill will apply if passed. It will apply retroactively. So if you're serving a probation sentence and you fall under the qualifications we're about to talk about now, this bill could very well apply to you if passed. So again, this is about people who have been sentenced even before the bill's passed. So let's talk about who is eligible under SB 105. We're going to be giving more details about this later if the bill passes and becomes effective. And Emmy's going to tell you a little bit about how to keep an eye out for that information. But right now, I want to give us kind of a bird's eye view of who could qualify should SB 105 come into effect. So this bill would apply to people who have been on probation for 3 or more years and meet the following qualifications. So you're serving a felony probation sentence and you have not been arrested for anything besides a non-serious traffic offense. And again, keep a lookout. We're going to break that down a little more about what does non-serious mean. The too long don't read version is anything such as like speeding tickets, parking tickets, things like that. But again, we can give you more detail about that because there's a laundry list of offenses under there. And then second, you haven't had your probation revoked in the past 24 months. And that kind of goes along with the first one, you haven't been arrested for anything. And then finally, you've paid all your restitution back. Now, I want to make something very clear. I know it gets this could be a little in the weeds, but if you're given a felony probation sentence, a lot of times there's fines and fees associated with it. You do not have to have paid off your fines and fees. And your sentencing order will typically state specifically whether something's a fine or fee or whether something's restitution. Some people don't have restitution with their felony probation sentences. Some people do. You have to have paid that restitution back. But again, it doesn't include fines and fees. So we are very excited about this bill. It could impact up to 50,000 individuals in Georgia who are serving felony probation right now. So if you know anyone who is serving a felony probation sentence and could apply based on what I've shared with you, if you are serving a felony probation sentence, my advice for you right now is to keep an eye out for information that we'll be sharing. Our Facebook, which is Georgia Justice Project, is a great resource. We post a lot of our updates on our Facebook page. I would strongly, strongly, strongly encourage you to sign up for our action alerts. These are emails that we send out to keep you posted on what's happening with the bills we've been presenting with. Specifically, you'll hear about SB 105. And keep your ears open for a webinar if SB 105 does go into effect. GJP is going to be hosting a webinar to give you the details about SB 105, what to do if you do qualify under SB 105, et cetera. So we're very excited about this. And we anticipate this will become law, but keep your eyes open and your ears open, and definitely sign up for those action alerts. So Emmy, I'm going to pass it back to you now.
Thanks, Elizabeth. So the last topic we want to tell you more about is occupational licensing. So Georgia Justice Project is starting to represent people who are working in licensed fields or who want to be working in licensed fields. So you might have heard of occupational licensing. But the gist is that the state of Georgia has to give you permission to work in some fields. You've got to get your license. So here's a list of just some examples of people who need licenses to work. Probably know that your barber has to be licensed. Your teachers are licensed. You probably didn't know your librarians are licensed, but there's a long list of people who need permission to work in licensed fields. And the unfortunate truth is that if you have a criminal record, you usually have to disclose your record to the licensing board when you apply for your license, and it can be harder for you to get an occupational license with a criminal record. So Georgia Justice Project has seen a lot of people, with difficulties getting occupational licenses, and we've decided to start helping folks apply and giving people legal representation in that process. So here's just a quick list of problems that you might encounter if you have a criminal record and you're looking for an occupational license. The first problem is that every licensing board is different and they have different rules about criminal records and the process. There's very little public information about whether you might be eligible for a license if you have a certain criminal record. And unfortunately, some convictions on your record might be an automatic bar to working in licensed fields. One example is if you want to be a licensed nurse and you have a controlled substances conviction on your record, unfortunately, that's an automatic bar and you will not be able to work in the nursing field. And then finally, there's some vague language. So even if you manage to find the licensing board's rules on criminal records and eligibility, you may not be able to understand exactly what that means for you. So Georgia Justice Project can help. And one of the recent developments, or sort of recent developments in the law, is SB 367. So this is a bill that Georgia Justice Project lobbied for and got passed in 2016. And the basic idea is that if you're looking for an occupational license and you apply, the licensing board can only deny you that license if you have a criminal record that directly relates to the occupation that you're wanting to work in. And when the board is considering whether your criminal record directly relates to the licensed work that you want to do, they have to look at certain factors. They have to look at the nature and seriousness of what's on your record, the relationship between what's on your record and the licensed field that you want to work in. So one example I give is if you want to be a licensed accountant and you have a financial fraud conviction on your record, that might be a close relationship that would keep you from getting your occupational license because those two things are kind of similar. But the board also has to look at how old you were at the time of your record, how long it's been since your record occurred, and all relevant circumstances. So if you were going through difficult things, if you were homeless or had addiction, or were a domestic violence survivor, any sorts of things that might explain why your record happened. And then finally, all the work that you've done to move past your record and to get ready to work in your license field, the board has to consider that too. And then finally, there's a second law pertaining to occupational licensing, which was passed this session in the legislature. And it hasn't been signed by Governor Kemp yet, so it's not law yet, but we're expecting that it will become law in the next couple of weeks. And if it does, it will be effective on July 1st of this year. So it will start giving you rights to get your occupational license on that date. And this new law says that if you are on probation or parole currently, and you want to get your occupational license, the licensing board can't deny you your license just because you're on probation or parole. They have to give you your license, even if you're serving a supervision sentence. And there are some narrow exceptions. So if you're currently under supervision for a felony crime against a person like battery or assault, or if you are on supervision for a crime that would require you to register on the sex offense registry. Unfortunately, the licensing board can still deny you a license if those two things apply to you. But otherwise, if you're serving a supervision sentence, you should be able to get your occupational license as of July this year, which is great news. So that's all for occupational licensing, but I'm sure that you have many questions, or you might have realized that Georgia Justice Project might be able to help you either with expunging your record or getting off probation or getting an occupational license. So please take a moment to jot this information down. You can always visit our website at gjp.org. You can also call our intake line for criminal record expungement. And if you need help with probation or occupational licensing, those are the emails to contact. I'm not sure if we have time for questions. I think we went a bit over, but Alicia?
We have, what time is it? It's 11:15 and Raekwon did have his question up. He had one general, one question. I will drop those and we're gonna only have time for that before we start moving into the breakout rooms. And in the breakout rooms, this is not all the information. These were just the presenters who do statewide work. In the breakout rooms, we have presenters who do work according to the area that you live in. So whether it's housing providers and other providers, they will be in the actual breakout rooms. But Raekwon had a question, and anybody ask questions after that, you can email. I'm going to drop the email for probation and the email for occupational licensing in the chat as well. And I have been dropping some other information in there. Before we all go to Raekwon's question though, I would like to drop one other resource in the chat, and it is for individuals who are in Fulton County only, who have Fulton County charges. There is an expungement for Juneteenth record restriction coming up. The last day to register is April 30th. Today is the 27th. So if you have charges out of Fulton County and you want to see about getting that stuff taken off your record, you need to register for the event that I just dropped in the chat. But again, this will also, and because I am trying to send this stuff, I will probably make a promise to go ahead and get this stuff to you all by tomorrow. The presenters can get me their presentations by in the morning. I'll make sure I have all this stuff to you all tomorrow. But there's some really, really great stuff being dropped in the chat. But definitely if you're in Fulton County, make sure you register for that. And we do have other folks, some of the other people who are going to be showing up for the rooms have already joined. And we're going to see if Anika needs any more information from folk who are going to be going in these rooms. Okay. And then Anika has an announcement she's going to make regarding the breakout rooms, but we can go ahead to Raekwon for your question.
I ain't have a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I saw Robert with his hand up there.
And Alicia, I hate to interrupt. This is Nancy Devetter. I was going to ask Emmy if they could comment on something that clients ask me a lot. And I just want to make sure that I'm tracking, but if Robert's ready, let him go.
Yeah, just right quick. Do y'all have anything? I'm from the Bay Area, just moved down here. Do y'all have anything around banning the box, getting that question off of city applications and housing, asking whether or not you ever been convicted of a felony? I was part of Proposition 21 in the Bay Area, something I wanted to bring to Georgia.
Yes, it's so important. So right now in Georgia, the law is that if you are working for the state government or city government, they cannot ask you about your, they've banned the box. They can't ask you about your criminal history. But that law does not apply to private employers, unfortunately.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
something that we would love to see in Georgia. We would
Yes.
love to ban the box for private employers as well. That's
Yes.
something we're trying to work on. Great
Yes.
question.
And that's very similar to the point I had, which is
Yeah, go ahead,
clients, once they get expunged and sealed under this new law, it says that the charge should be treated like it is under first offender. But what clients, I tell clients they still have to say, I was arrested if they were arrested, or I was convicted. I know that was previously part of the new law proposal, but I didn't see that it made it in there.
Okay. And before we go to Anika, I just wanted to just put my plug in. There is an organization called All of Us or None. It's a national organization composed 90% of people who are formerly incarcerated, who are getting some awesome laws changed out in California and throughout the United States. They contacted me and wanted me to start a Georgia chapter, and I will be starting that Georgia chapter. We will be having our kickoff meeting on May 6th. So if you are formerly incarcerated, you are the loved one of someone who's currently and formerly incarcerated, or you're just an advocate and you want to be a part of finding out more about what All of Us or None is doing, and we want to organize around some of these same issues that are being addressed on the line tonight, please make sure you email us, and we will be starting sending those links out next week so you can join us for a 1-hour interest meeting. Email ALL of us or none ATL@gmail.com, and then just let us know you want the link and I'll send that to y'all as well. All righty, and then we have Anika wants to talk to you all about the breakout room. So we want to make sure everybody's in their correct breakout rooms. Okay, Anika.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. My name is Anika Jones. Can everybody hear me? Great. I work with women in transition, supporting women transitioning out of incarceration back into the community. And for our breakout rooms, we have assigned most of you into breakout rooms according to the area where you live. If you decide that you want to be in another room, then you can just voluntarily leave the room. You'll come back to this main room and you can ask to be reassigned to another room. Also, there are few people who we didn't get your information. We asked everyone to put their information in the chat, so we don't know where you're from, and so you weren't assigned. So after we open the rooms, we'll be able to put you there based on your request. So are we ready to open the room?
We do, and if you want, we still have about 3 minutes. We can easily go down each one and ask everybody to unmute themselves and say right now what room to be put in. That way, that'll make it easier for you.
Well, no.
Or who is it that you don't have in the room?
All right, I'll tell you the ones that we don't have. Let's see. Tammy, can you help me with the ones that we still don't have?
Sure.
Robin's in the Atlanta room.
I think it's just a couple. I think Kayla was one.
It was just a couple people. It was
Kayla.
Tamika.
I just sent you that one.
Okay, great.
Kayla was the other one, I think.
Kayla.
We got Lindsay. Kayla wants to go to Metro.
Okay, wait, just send me those because I'm looking at the list.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay,
sure.
That's good. And did we get Connie?
Connie is in Columbus.
Yeah, I'm in the Columbus area.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, yeah. I think that may be it, and we'll see once we break out if there are others. Okay.
And I will still be in the main room, and if each of the facilitators can attempt to record, if you can, you cannot. I don't know, how that works with breakout. If you can't, it's no big deal. And from this point on, we'll go ahead and start going into the actual breakout rooms, because presenters, I know there's a housing presenter just came in and several folks on the line now. So if you want to go ahead and go to those breakout rooms, feel free to do that. Anika, you can put my Walisha Wilson in the Columbus room.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna open the rooms now and then I'll deal with the rest of the people.
Okay. Okay, it says Judith. What room was Judith going into? Judith, where are you going?
I can go into Fulton County or Atlanta.
Okay. Good. Judith is going where? Metro Atlanta?
Yeah.
Okay. And Walisa, you're going where?
You can put me in the wrong room, so they don't have the participants in the wrong room.
Okay. Now let's see. So that we have.
And you're going to be facilitating Savannah.
Right. I sent a note to Nancy to get started because it's just one or two people in there, and so she can. I'll go in later, but I just wanted to be here to make sure that everything was taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
Some people might want to change their rooms or something like that. And we'll put the timer on for, you want them to go for 30 minutes? Or there's 45 minutes?
Where are you in Savannah? Yeah, because the only person in Savannah.
Minutes.
Yeah, it's 45 minutes. So we'll be back at 12:15.
Okay. Now we have Shanita. What about you? Where do you want to go?
Who, me? I'm staying in the statewide just in case anybody comes in.
Shanita.
Shanita's is supposed to be in Atlanta. Shanita's Williams is in Metro Atlanta.
Oh, okay. Wait a second. Let me put her there.
Lindsay Siegel is supposed to be Metro Atlanta as well.
Okay. I've got, interesting. Oh, she was, and Lindsay is in Metro Atlanta?
I think that's correct. Lindsay, aren't you in Metro Atlanta?
But she just hasn't joined yet.
Yeah.
She was assigned, but she just hasn't responded.
And she's probably away from her, computer.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So now everybody has. Phew. Okay. That worked. You did a great job. You did a
good job.
By the way, no, Tammy and I, you don't know, we were hustling, let me tell you. So the only one, I just thought that some more might have wanted to go with Nancy in the Savannah room because even though she's in Savannah, that her work is statewide.
Yeah.
Even though she's in the, and I was thinking some more might want to go there. And also,
but yeah, we're leaving it open because some people said that they are, they're going from room to room.
Okay.
Because several people wanted to speak with Nancy, but they wanted to try to get some of that basic stuff from the basic room first, and then they were going to go back.
Right. Well, in which case, then I would need to stay here to reassign them because they can't just jump in a room on their own.
Okay, so you're going to stay in statewide?
I will.
Yeah, if you stay in the main room, and I can do the jumping back and forth then.
You jump in on Savannah just to see. But like I said, I just had Nancy and Mary Wagner, who I don't know if she wanted to stay here. I'll stay here, and if anybody comes back, I'll reassign them. Or if anyone new comes, somebody new might join, and I'll put them in a room.
Okay.
But if you,
I'm gonna go ahead and jump around then.
All right, I'll just stay here. Andrea, unmute yourself.
Sorry, we only
Hey.
have 8 people and a lot of us are presenters. So I was just curious about who else was gonna be in there, if anyone else was coming. So that's why
I'm about to jump in there now, but I know Jennifer Bourne is in there, so y'all can go ahead and get started because she's wanting to really go to a room where the lawyer's speaking, but she wanted to kind of get some of the local resources out of Columbus first. So
Okay.
y'all go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me just send something to myself. But you're gonna come in, Walisha? I'm nervous
about
with
to
you
come
coming in.
Okay.
Okay.
Wally,
I'm going back to my room then. Going to my room,
okay.
guys.
Can you go back yourself or do I have to send you
I can
back?
join.
Okay, good. Oh, that's right, you're a co-host. Walisha, it appears that most of the participants are from Metro Atlanta. That's what it appears.
Yeah, that's about 60% are from Metro Atlanta, but
Mhm.
people who actually registered, almost half were from Columbus. They just didn't show.
Yeah, but a lot of them were presenters.
Yeah. So
They were mainly the presenters.
yeah. So Lindsay is supposed to be a presenter. She works with Sarah Kelsey, I think. So maybe she just on to be on, but I'm gonna jump into Columbus room for a quick minute.
Okay, all right.
is to partake of many and varied voices and sources. That is to say, content producers talking to other content producers, podcasters discussing books, journalists discussing movies.
I'm finna go to a different room. Have you jumped around?
Bringing
This
public,
meeting is being
bringing
recorded.
providers, participants all together to
Did you
build
jump into
that
a different room, Anika?
trust within the community.
Did you jump into a different
as
room?
it's trendy to help returning citizens.
Yes,
Oh, look
I
like
did.
Lindsay did go somewhere. Lindsay is no here, so she must have went somewhere.
No, oh yeah, I jumped into the Savannah room just to check on Nancy.
Oh, okay.
She was
Because I
fine.
thought she was in there by herself. Yeah.
Yeah, she had spoken with one person and thought they might be others coming, but she's working on stuff, so she's
Oh,
fine.
okay.
What is that in the background? That's your other device?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's Lee in the Atlanta room. You're gonna have to tell me, how did you get them to be able to join their own breakout room, or how did you do that? Because I've been trying to figure it
Okay,
out.
well, no, it was a co-host because you made all those people co-hosts, and that's why they could do it, I think.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. Maybe
No, because the
I have no idea.
participants was able to pick their room as well. It's some participants bouncing
Okay,
back
all
and
right.
forth.
So, all right. So now that explains it. Remember, we were trying to do that. Perhaps after we opened the room,
Yeah.
then, you know, it's very possible that if we had just not assigned anybody and opened the room, they might have been able to pick where they wanted to go.
Yeah. Because they're able to jump in and out.
Okay, so that's because you gave them permission, but I have never done this before and I didn't know how that would work. So I think I'm still going to try it out, but I think once you set up the rooms and open them up, then the participants can probably just go at will. That's great.
Now that was there in that Metro Atlanta room.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the biggest room. That's the room with all the people in it.
Hear about all the resources
So,
that you have
well, it
available.
worked out good. I'm glad you was on the team because I was like, I don't know what to do with this. And somebody's
Oh,
already asked,
well,
"Are y'all gonna do this again? Are y'all gonna do this again?" And I was like, oh my God.
Well, it was like, but Tammy and I, the whole time, Tammy and I were chatting back and forth. Tammy was messaging people, asking them, where do you want to go? But I really think that when I try this again, that once we set up the rooms and open it, I'm thinking people will be able to choose their own room. I'm going to really try that out with a test group and see if that works.
And I will be
Okay.
making some referrals.
Okay. I hope it'll work.
Okay. Yeah,
All
that's
right.
good.
I have a lot of
But
people that want to make
This has been
donations.
very
for
good,
female
though. Very,
clothing.
very
Yeah.
good.
Want
You
to connect
should
with
feel
you,
really good about it.
okay?
Well, I'm gonna pop out of this one and go into
Okay.
back into Columbus room and let her know that Nancy will be in there waiting on her.
Okay, I'll
All
be
right.
here.
No.
welcome, Jamar. Are you just joining the conference?
No, ma'am. I was here before, and our internet system went down, and the phone lines went down. So I'm logged.
Okay.
It just back up, so I'm logging back in.
Okay, everybody is in the breakout. Where are you located? Where are you located? What city, what town?
I'm located in Columbus, Georgia. Columbus.
Okay, so I'm going to assign you over to the Columbus breakout room.
Okay.
We're glad you made it back in.
All right. Thank you. Me too.
Wait a minute. Okay, wait a second. Jamar. Okay. Hold up. I'm getting you there.
Okay.
Jamar assigned to Columbus. All right.
From the school, we can help to mediate for you.
Nika, do you, I'm in wrong room. Do you, y'all, with the women in transition, do y'all work with women that's in North Georgia? In the wrong area? Do you work with women who need supports with mental illness, but they only work with women or people with mental illness to have them get jobs and they have housing for them? Is that a resource that you have? Is that a resource that you have, Elevation House?
Healthy. Okay, no. And sometimes the women, we work with women at the Metro Transitional Centers primarily, and once they come out, and so sometimes they may go to that area, so we definitely need resources all over, although we're primarily Metro Atlanta, but sometimes the women are going to other areas.
So I'll make sure you get that information.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, because she said they help with transitional and supported employment programs, education supports, wellness and basic living supports, and their peer-led staff supported community, and they help with housing and
a lot of them are.
but you have to have a mental diagnosis.
We want to help to broaden
let me ask you this question. Lee Robbins, is he the pastor who's
Yeah.
doing the spiritual room?
Yes.
Okay. I have someone who's got a request. They want to go there. So I need to send a note to him.
Let me see if Lee is already presented, because I think he's already presented.
Oh, I see.
And if he's already presented, so it's somebody right now that needs to speak to the pastor.
Well, Tammy sent me a text saying someone whenever that they want to go into it. So if you can have him, find out if he's spoken and have him go on in there, and then you can arrange for this guy to go in.
All right. I'm gonna go to the Metro Atlanta and tell him to see if we're gonna go ahead and open it up.
Too much of the time, because I know that
This
Sarah has some
meeting
things
is
to talk
being
about
recorded.
related to home ownership. But if you're having a landlord-tenant issue, whether it is or is not connected to your criminal background, we want to hear from you so we can at least assess your case and give you advice. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay. So my name is Sarah Kelsey, and I'm a staff attorney in the Atlanta Legal Aid Society Home Defense Program, which is a specialized unit that helps homeowners. I'm going to share my screen because I did make a little thing. There we go. Okay, so
I'm finna call Lee's phone. Is that person still on the line that want to speak with him?
Well, they're in the group. Tammy just sent me a text. They said whenever the room is available.
Okay.
Advocate for them on behalf, or advocate on behalf of them to the mortgage company to
Did he already present?
loss mitigation assistance.
No, I'm finna see, because he's away from his computer apparently.
Home purchase scams, home equity
So let me
Well,
see,
maybe
because
you
he's
can-
already presented.
He has already presented.
Yeah, he's already
Oh, okay.
presented. Hey, Pastor Lee, we
he's
got somebody
away-
that was requesting spiritual counseling with you and want to see what's the earliest you could be available for a room.
I done my presentation, so you just let me know.
Yeah, he said he's already done his presentation, and when you open it, he can join.
Ask him to go on into the spiritual room now.
She said, if you could, you can go ahead and go into the spiritual room now.
Okay, which room is that number?
It should be listed as spiritual room.
It just says spiritual.
All right.
Okay, he said he'll leave and go down.
You got it? You see it?
All right.
I put him in there. They're both in there. That worked out well.
that closed. And I mean, that was a huge hospital that helped people with mental health, and they didn't have the resources in place when the hospital just kind of closed. And that's, I mean, we're still feeling the ripple effects of it. That's when we began to work with the prisoner reentry program, because what was happening, a lot of what Carrie said was, they had no resources, and a lot of people ended up incarcerated. That was the wrong place for them to be. And when the hospital first closed, it really did. It was a shockwave through our community, where people just had nowhere to go at first. And we're still, thank goodness, we have Elevation House now. We have some resources in place now, but we're still kind of trying to dig out from the effects of that. And that's where that's kind of where we are. So yeah, it's something that it changed our community for years and still is. So
So how do you guys, hospitalization stuff, how is that taken care of? Is there another hospital, or is there a distance that you have to go in order to receive that service? How is the police handling the mental health population and the lack thereof of services for them in that area?
So we do, our Floyd Medical Center does have a behavioral health hospital. So that's the primary resource for hospitalization. They've been wonderful to work with, really have developed a very close relationship with them. So there is a resource. That the hospital that closed was actually a state facility. So it not only impacted Rome, it mostly in fact impacted Rome and Floyd County because people were let out and they had nowhere to go. So we know there's a housing crisis. It's not, it's no secret. So there were no places for these individuals to live. They had been living with supervised care 24/7, many of them. Some that were most severe were placed into group home settings. Many of them did not function very well, and they ended up in jails and prisons, unfortunately. So it became this vicious cycle. And so our law enforcement here, I'm also a state certified law enforcement instructor. CIT became kind of really my focus, crisis intervention training, so that there can be some diversion. We need to divert people that are living with mental illness, who are experiencing a mental health emergency or even a mental health crisis, do not need to be in our jails and consequently end up in our prisons, because that is the illness we're seeing being exhibited because of triggers, because they're sick in the moment. And so it was vitally necessary that we began really increasing our level of training. And that's why I keep in close contact. I worked at the jail. I have a good relationship with our local prison here. I know all the reentry people at the prison and at the jail. And I even go and do site visits. I will go on to the jail as someone's being released from jail, and go and sit with them and try to get them to basically have a place to come once they're released from jail that can help them find a place to live, if they want to find a job, just to know that they're not alone, to make sure they have food. Like I said, they come here, nothing. I might put them in a hotel if I can find a donor to do it. So
y'all don't actually have, I've been bouncing in and out. So y'all don't actually provide housing, but y'all help with housing supports for folks with mental illness?
Right now, we do not have housing, but we do have a housing committee that is very intense right now at finding housing. But I call myself a housing negotiator because I've connected myself with everybody that does housing, from boarding homes to just people who own properties that are willing to rent. Because again, if they're under our support system, that person feels comfortable because they know we're going to be there.
Well, if you ever get any people, I know not to try to steal your contacts, but if you ever get folks who have housing, and I know they're working with your folks, but they do have some housing that they may have open to people who may be on the registry, or registry friendly, please let me know. I have several women who are in Atlanta, and they're like, we'll move anywhere in the state of Georgia if we can find housing, because they can't get their kids back until they have housing. And so they have jobs, but they're currently living in a shelter or they're living in homes with other women. 2 of the women are actually on the call now, and that is what they need. We have jobs, more than one job. We have a car, but we're living in a room with 8 other women, or we want our own space because they can't get housing. So if you find anybody that has housing, and neither one of them are actually, diagnosed with any mental illness, but when you keep dealing to the point where you losing jobs and you can't get it, at some point she'll develop something where she's gonna have some mental illness because it's stressful. And it's, and I tell her, so if you ever come up with any contacts or you get somebody and you say, hey, Walisha, this guy's a landlord and they're open to people on the registry, please let me know with that information. But I was going to ask you, since you were talking about the crisis intervention and training the cops and stuff, are you a part of, or have you heard about the Mass Incarceration Network here in Georgia? Are you a part of the EMI?
I'm not a part of that network, no.
Yeah, you should probably, maybe connect. I think that would be great, because some of the stuff that, I just come and attend the minister. I can't tell you I know all the details, but it's in mass incarceration. And the fact that you even mentioned the fact that you have the good sense to know that people who are mentally ill have no business being in jail. And we're a large population of folks who are currently incarcerated have mental illness. And the fact that you have connections where you build these relationships with law enforcement, you're forming law enforcement, and you're teaching crisis intervention training to police departments. I definitely know that you are a contact that I need to have. And I would assume maybe a contact that the EMI should have. Outside of what I do here with New Life, I am a 2020 Justice George Soros Fellow. And my project is to not only make the court systems more accessible, because a lot of folks, my top 3 issues with the court system is a lot of folks don't necessarily even come in contact with being locked up until they get to court. Sometimes people can avoid arrest, but then they may give them a court date. But we've been finding a lot of folks who actually go to court, and that is their first time with going to jail. Partly because they're in some type of mental health crisis. They don't understand what's going on. They only speak Spanish, and they're taking plea deals and don't understand what's going on, or they're deaf and hard of hearing. I actually got a warrant put out on me for failing to appear in court, and I was in court the entire time, but because I'm deaf in one ear, you don't have a way of knowing your name is being called. There was another guy seriously going through a mental health crisis while I'm sitting there, and they ended up locking him up they said he was being defiant, and the man wasn't being defiant. He was going through a mental health crisis. So part of the problem is with Columbus, we've had them tase folks, we've had them actually shoot and kill people who they say were being defiant, when in fact the man was going through a diabetic shock. They were going through some type of seizure. They were going through a mental health crisis. So the police down there, either they don't know or they don't care. They don't know the difference in a person having a stroke or a person that's on a cocaine bench. They just pull their tasers out and shoot. And one of the issues that we spoke about is they need to have some crisis intervention. And part of the problem across the United States is police probably don't have no more than 18 to 20 hours of training. To go to school to be a hairdresser, you have to go to school for 2 years. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous that people going to school to be beauticians have to go to school for 2 years to get trained, as opposed to people who are law enforcement. And so one of the things that I'm supposed to be bringing back to the table to them in May or June is you all need some crisis intervention training. And that's part of the issue. And so I want to make sure I get your information on that as well.
Absolutely. I'd love to help in any way.
Okay.
I think I have a very unique perspective on the issue.
Okay.
From both sides.
And I'm sure you might be hearing from Anika, who she runs the EMI. So maybe you'll be hearing from Anika about how to join the EMI, because I definitely think that would be good to have you on board of that.
Hi, Kathy. Hi, Kathy.
Hello, I'm sorry, I got disconnected. My phone died and I had to go get my charger. So I was just trying to get back into the meeting.
Which room?
I was in the Columbus chat room.
Columbus. Okay, I'll send you back there.
Okay, thank you.
The groups are going to be closing pretty soon.
Okay.
But I will send you back.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're still there. I'm sorry.
Hey, Sonia, are you all finished? Oh, you're muted.
Yes,
You're muted.
ma'am. They're all done. It was great. I only had 2 people and Walisha in and out, but it was good. And Walisha shared some information that I wasn't aware of. So I'm just learning all kinds of new stuff.
Good. Walisha, did you see the text, the chat I just sent you with information about the Mass Incarceration GA Network that you can please share in your next newsletter? People can, they can just email if they, want to get on the mailing list, and then they'll be notified of all the activities, or they can go to Facebook. Would you make sure to share that information?
Okay, I sure will.
Thank you. Thank you. So where are the rest of your people? Did they go somewhere else, or did they leave? Sonia, you're muted again.
I'm trying not to have all this feedback, but they were talking about some other services in their area that they're trying to collab with. So they knew that the breakout.
Oh, they're still talking. Okay,
yeah.
Good. All right. Lisa, the rooms are gonna be ending. I sent that 5-minute notice.
Mm-hmm.
So is that okay?
Yeah.
They're gonna be, it's 12:10. They got, it looks like another minute or so, and then they get a 60-second warning. That's okay. All right, so we'll be ending up a little bit before 12:15. It's always great when you finish a little early.
Yes.
Look at Walisha. She doing the double duty, honey. She got two screens.
Oh yeah, she's really been doing it. I got the hats off to her.
Part of it is because I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah, well, you are faking it very well. I tell you.
Look, that's what I was about to say.
You're not faking it. You are doing it very well.
Look, well, I learned really quickly the other day that when you record, see, now I gotta undo the volume on one of these. I learned that when you record on one, you can't minimize your screen. So I was like, you know what?
I don't know about.
Yeah, every time I try to minimize my screen that I'm actually recording on, it'll say I can't. See, you cannot minimize.
When you try to minimize,
you cannot minimize Zoom when you are recording this meeting.
Okay, I don't know, but if you do it on the laptop, you can.
No, because see, maybe because
next time, typically, okay, time is up. Man, you started talking about minimizing the screen. Let me get, and I minimized it. Now I don't know. Okay.
So all right, everybody's coming back.
All right. Time is up. So, okay. They're gonna close in 43 seconds. Okay. When you do it next time, make the main, open it from your laptop, okay? Because that just has more capacity than the tablet.
So are we all back? Okay, they're coming back now.
They're coming. It's automatic.
I like that.
Yes, I love that too.
Well, welcome back. Let me get off this. I'm on 2 computers, y'all. So I'm trying to. Okay, thank you all so much. I know it was a lot of jumping, but we really want to make this a great experience for you all. We moved here from Columbus a year ago, and we always do all of our events in person. So this was our very first virtual event, and believe it or not, I had a lot of anxiety around it, but it worked really well. We had some great partners, and of course, you all are our partners, and you did an awesome job. So I wanted to ask you all for a minute if you could take time out if not now, as soon as you get off this call, to complete a quick survey, because we want to know how we're doing. We want to make sure that what we're doing is actually beneficial to the folks that we serving and the people who assist those that we serve. So I just dropped it in the chat. A link is a 10-question survey, and it's very quick. It takes you less than a minute to do it. I'll also have that in the follow-up email, but we want to be able to try to gauge what we're doing. I also wanted to thank you all again for coming. Special thanks to Metro Atlanta Reentry Coalition, to Living On Purpose ATL, to Anika Jones and Women in Transition, and to Sonia Lawhern, as well as the other facilitators, Andrea Atkins, who is a board member with NewLife-Second Chance Outreach. I'd like to thank all of you all who came and present, those who wanted to present but did not have an opportunity to present. If this goes really well and we get good critique, this may be something we may want to do again in the fall, because we had been actually working on this for about 2 months, and at the last minute we had like maybe 10 or 15 additional people wanted to present, and we just could not do it with the time capacity. But hopefully with more time we would be able to have another event around, in the fall sometime. I just want to give a few announcements with New Life Second Chance. We did get approved for July to be Reentry Awareness Month with the governor. So look forward to us doing some great things in July. We have lined up some webinars that we'll be doing with employers to let them know the benefits of hiring individuals with records. And the second week, we're going to be doing something with housing providers to let them know the benefits of renting to individuals with criminal records and the impact that it has when they don't. The third week will be more on, we'll be speaking with faith leaders and the faith community's role in reentry. And in the last week on July 27th, we're not sure about the time, but for July 27th is the day that we were going to have a virtual statewide job fair. We already have about 45 employers from Atlanta to Columbus, Savannah, Valdosta, even some in Atlanta. That's actually going to probably be a dual state. It's going to be Georgia and Alabama, where we're going to be having a virtual employment fair. With all of the employers are background friendly. Those are the only employers we work with. And that is going to be on July 27th. And of course, you can always go to our website to stay tuned on our upcoming events, as well as on our Facebook page. Most of you know about the email, and most of you are signed up for those emails, that if you are interested in being on the list to receive background friendly information, please make sure you email us requesting to be put on the on our send out list, and with your location. If you prefer and you're in one place and you say, hey, add me to all your lists, we serve people statewide, or we only serve people in Douglasville or whatever, we can do that and add you to that list. If you ever get bombarded and say, please just stop emailing us, I will remove you from the list. All presenters, if you can have your stuff presented, or whatever your page slides that you did present to me by in the morning, that way we can send those as attachments to all the presenters. If you would like to have something, if you dropped your email in the chat, we did make note of that, and you will be sent that. But if you want to put your information in the chat again, say, please make sure we get the resources, do that, and we'll make sure we document that so we can make sure you get all the resources. Because I know some of you were in one room, but you might have wanted to go and speak to the lawyers in a different room, and you couldn't be in both rooms. So we will make sure we send this information as well. But I do want to thank all of the presenters. Were there any final comments? I see Connie is dropping information about Song Columbus in there as well. And I am about to drop some information for the End Mass Incarceration, which is, if you're interested, if you're an organization, is that for individuals as well, Anika?
Yes.
If you are an organization or an individual who is committed to wanting to end mass incarceration in Georgia, please join us. Anika, can you drop it in the chat, because I'm having a hard time.
Yeah. Okay. Basically, the End Mass Incarceration Georgia Network is a network of organizations, individuals, faith-based groups committed to ending mass incarceration. Our focus is advocacy, and in particular right now, we're focusing on ending, destroying the preschool to prison pipeline and getting the word out. And we have a toolkit we've developed that can help you share with others in your community what we need to do. So please join us the fourth Monday of every month. And we the website, you can find out other activities.
Okay. And can you drop the information you gave to me?
Oh, sure. I'll put it in the chat.
Yes. And we also saw that there's some housing for men, vital signs reentry ministry.org that has been dropped in the chat. And you already know what my next question is for whoever dropped that in the chat. Is that housing available to individuals on the Georgia Sex Offender Registry? I know you said it's for men only, but is it available to anybody on the registry or no?
I dropped it in, Walisa. So it's not. It's because of proximity laws. It's in Gwinnett. We cannot accept, ex-offender charges, but we do have resources for ex-offenders we can refer them to, so they can still try to get in touch with us, and we'll refer them to the places that we have.
Okay. And also, we do have a resource tab on our page. We are looking for partners. There's no fee or anything for it. If you are interested in being listed on our page as a partner with NewLife-Second Chance, feel free to send us your logo. We'll add it to our website. Also, we have resources that we keep for our partners. So for information, if we know we're partnering with OAA, we put OAA's support groups meeting on our page. If EMI is our partner and we say, hey, they meet every month. If you want that information to be on our page, we also have a resource page. We'll be glad to put your information on there and share it to individuals, because we do get a lot of information, a lot of flow to our website for those resources. Okay, thank you so much, Anika, and thank you, Happye, for that as far as your information as well. Okay, and all of this stuff in the chat I will keep, and other than that, if you all would take the time to do that survey, I think that's about it. And this meeting is officially over. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Lisa, if anybody needs prayer, remember
if
that.
anybody needs prayer, I need some prayer, so I'm gonna leave.
Don't we all need prayer?
We all need prayer.
And Jamar Ridley is on the call. Jamar, would you like to come out? Because I know you said that you were did you get a chance to speak in the Columbus room? He works with veterans, and we do have a lot of veterans who have come in contact with the law, have records, and a lot of them don't have, they have difficulty getting things. So Jamar, did you want to come on and just tell everybody about the services that you provide?
Sure. Here at the Columbus Vet Center, we offer readjustment counseling for combat veterans who may have a hard time readjusting back to society, as well as their family members. And we also offer counseling for PTSD, MST, which is military sexual trauma, and bereavement counseling. It's free to all veterans. You will never pay a dime, and it's 100% confidentiality, meaning we doesn't share our records with anyone, not even the VA. The only person who will see the records is the soldier or the veteran, him or herself. But there is one time if the veteran says something about committing suicide or a homicide or murder, then we would notify the authorities, and that's it.
Well, thank you. You can drop your information in the chat of who they would contact, like an email or the website. That will help as well.
Okay.
Anika, we do have a few people. Oh, y'all don't? Okay.
Not yet. We should have one before the end of the year. Okay.
And whatever information you got, you email it to me at the Second Chance resource where you sent to you earlier, and I'll make sure that goes out in the post resource. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And once everybody leaves, instead of creating a spiritual room, we can just stay in the room for those who need prayer. How about that? Does that work? Okay. So we can do that. And everybody else is welcome to leave. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, Sonia.
Thank you.
Blessings to
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So much.
Thank you.